friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Today I'm sharing which foods I freeze dry versus which foods I choose to dehydrate. And trust me, some of my choices might surprise you, like why I never freeze dry a certain category of fruits, which foods I will always freeze dry as long as I have the ability, and the use cases regarding certain foods where the good old dehydrator still has my heart. Before we jump into that, I want to address a few questions we've received about how a freeze dryer works, what all is involved in setting one up and operating it. We have the perfect opportunity to do that today because Stacy just got a freeze dryer and filmed the setup process for us so that we could walk through it together. This is the Stay Fresh 5-tray freeze dryer with a commercial pump, and I can confidently speak for Stacy here that the unboxing of this thing was like Christmas morning for food preservation geeks like us. With this freeze dryer, you also get a commercial impulse sealer, which is what you use to like heat seal Mylar bags, plus 50 Mylar bags, 50 packs of oxygen absorbers, and a pack of silicone mesh, which is awesome because I have a Harvest Right and all of that stuff costs extra, but not with the Stay Fresh model, it's included. And of course, you have the trays. This one comes with 5 stainless steel trays. Each one is 8 by 20 inches, which gives you a total of 800 square feet of food space, which translates into 12 to 18 pounds of fresh food per batch. That's incredible, especially if you have a garden or you like score some great deals on bulk produce during the summer. Essentially, you can get more done in one go. One thing to note is that freeze dryers are very heavy machines. You typically need more than one person to get it into its permanent place. This one weighs about 165 pounds without the pump, and as such, you need a very solid surface to set and store it on. Stacy went with a rolling yet locking cart by Seville Classics, which worked great for her small space dining room. Setup is simple, but you do need a dedicated 15 or 20 amp electrical outlet. Now, Stacy has been able to operate hers on an existing outlet in her home because she didn't have anything else drawing power from it. So it essentially is a dedicated outlet. So keep in mind that is an option. You'll want to place the freeze dryer somewhere indoors where you have room for something that's as big as it is, and keep the vacuum pump nearby for easy connection. Connect the power cord to the wall outlet and the other end to the back of the freeze dryer. Next, you plug the vacuum pump cord to the back of the freeze dryer and turn on the vacuum pump switch on the back of the vacuum pump. If you forget this step, you will never be able to reach the freeze dry stage. So it's very important that vacuum pump switch is switched to the on position. Then you're going to connect one end of the vacuum hose to the freeze dryer and the other end to the vacuum pump. And be sure to tighten the connections down really, really good because this is how you're going to get a good solid seal with no leaks, which is going to allow you to freeze dry. After that, you'll just connect the drain hose to the drain valve and place the other end of the hose in a water bucket. That's where all the extracted water is going to drain into. Okay, now to the nitty-gritty of how to actually run a cycle. The main point to remember is that all foods have varying levels of moisture, so there is no predetermined time that you can run the machine. You know, like with a dehydrator, someone might say to dehydrate herbs for 7 hours. That's just not the case with freeze drying. There's no predetermined time because it's all different. The Stay Fresh freeze dryer, thankfully, is equipped with a smart algorithm that adjusts based on what you're freeze drying, so you don't have to go into this with a pre-knowledge of how long each food needs to freeze dry. And thanks to the touchscreen that walks you through everything, the process is super easy. You can manually set shelf temperatures from anywhere from negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on what you're doing. But I don't recommend doing that because the cool part is that the Stay Fresh freeze dryer comes with a temperature probe that goes right into your food and feeds real-time data back to the machine. So when doing something tricky like the fruits that I'm about to tell you about, it automatically adjusts the cycle. So I recommend sticking to the auto freeze dry settings. That kind of takes care of it all for you. And yes, in case you're wondering, there's also a special candy mode just for sweets. Now, before you freeze dry anything, you'll want to do what's called a bread run, which is basically where you freeze dry a loaf of bread. This is going to help get any lingering odors out of the machine and ensure that everything is running properly before doing a load of more expensive foods. You'll start on the main settings screen where you can select modes and input batch details if you want. You can, like I said, set the shelf temperature, or just choose the auto freeze dry option. Next, you'll see the freeze mode screen. This screen shows your initial freezing progress, how the cold trap is cooling down to as low as negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll just be able to monitor when the chamber reaches the right temperature for freeze drying to begin, but you don't have to interfere here. Next is the main dry screen. During the main dry phase, you can watch live progress and adjust the shelf temperature or the pressure if you want to, or just let the auto process do its thing. This is also where the smart algorithm really shines because it adapts the drying cycle for best results. Then you'll come to the final dry screen. Once most of the moisture is gone, the final dry screen kicks in to ensure every bit is properly preserved. Here you'll see the food temperature, which is gotten from that probe, and the vacuum readings, which makes it really easy to verify if everything is safe to store. And lastly, you will come to the freeze drying complete screen. Basically, once the freeze drying is complete from the auto program, you're able to manually check if the food is really dry. And if it's not, you can manually add more time if you need to. If it is thoroughly dry, you just simply press the exit and you're done. And once you're done with your bread run, it's off to the races. So with that, I want to share which foods I freeze dry versus dehydrate and why some of my choices might surprise you. Let's start with the foods that I will always freeze dry. First is onions. When you dehydrate onions, they get this papery texture and lose so much of their punch. But freeze-dried onions come back to life just like they were fresh. I can throw them straight into soups, stews, or even rehydrate them for fresh cooking in a skillet. And when I run out of onion powder, I simply run my freeze-dried onions through a grinder and make more onion powder seasoning. Second is potatoes. Freeze-dried potatoes make for really quick meals. I'm talking mashed potatoes in under 5 minutes or crispy hash browns. Dehydrated potatoes tend to get tough and chewy, but freeze-dried ones maintain that fluffy potato texture. I always keep a jar of freeze-dried potato shreds and dices on hand. If my freeze dryer is currently running when I'm harvesting potatoes and need to get them put up, I will still run some through the dehydrator. Because they are definitely dehydrated potatoes are definitely still usable. I'm just saying that I prefer freeze-dried. Okay, third is cabbage. This one surprised me at first, but freeze-dried cabbage has a near perfect texture when we rehydrated. It's great for adding to soups or making quick cabbage side dishes once rehydrated. That said, I do still use the dehydrator when it's peak harvest time and I need to put up a lot of cabbage at once. I'll run both the freeze dryer and the dehydrator at the same time with full loads of cabbage just to get it up on my shelf quicker. But I can always tell a difference when I go to rehydrate it, which one was freeze dried and which one was dehydrated, because the freeze dried rehydrates to a much truer texture than the dehydrated kind. Okay, fourth is going to be all herbs. I will always freeze dry all herbs because they maintain their potency so much better than dehydrated. It truly is a night and day difference. When you dehydrate herbs, you lose those like volatile oils that give them their flavor, but freeze drying locks them in. My freeze dried basil tastes like just like I picked it from the garden even months later, and I can't say the same for my dehydrated basil. Okay, fifth is any soups, meals, or leftovers, and this is where freeze drying really shines compared to a dehydrator. It's not considered safe to dehydrate leftovers because there are too many factors like dairy, meats, and oils, but freeze drying turns leftovers into future just add water meals, and that is awesome. Okay, now let's move on to foods that I will still dehydrate, and this is where it gets interesting. So first is citrus fruits. Now, you can certainly still freeze dry citrus fruits. Plenty of people do. I just prefer not to because it breaks down and turns into powder too easily when freeze dried. If I want orange or lemon slices to maintain their shape, the dehydrator wins for sure. Okay, the second is tomatoes for snacking. And this one surprises people because they know I freeze dry tomatoes. But when it comes to snacking, like I just want to grab them out of the jar and snack them. I'm not cooking with them or anything like that. Dehydrated tomatoes have a great, almost chewy texture that we love. So if we want them for snacking, we go for the dehydrator. But if I'm making tomato powder, which y'all also know I use and love a whole lot, then freeze-dried is better because it powders so fine and so easily. You don't even have to have a grinder to powder freeze-dried tomatoes. You can literally smush it with your fingers. I mean, you don't have to get in there with your fingers, but you can use the back of a spoon. Like, you don't even have to have a grinder. Okay, last but not least is apples, again, specifically for snacking and trail mix. Freeze-dried apples just melt in your mouth, which is desirable in some cases, but sometimes you want that chewiness and that bite. At least we do, and dehydrated apple rings are great for that. They're also great for dicing up and dehydrating to put into trail mix because they don't just instantly deteriorate in your mouth, if that makes sense. Okay, so there you have it, my honest breakdown of what I freeze dry versus dehydrate, and a quick look at how to set up a freeze dryer and what the settings look like and how it all comes together. The key is matching the method to how you're actually going to be using the food later. If you want to check out the Stay Fresh freeze dryer, there is a link in the description box. That's all for today, friends. We'll see you next time. Bye.